You give him not only your failures in the past, but you give him your current total inability to do any of those things in the future. You come to a point where you realize about yourself, if I'm going to have a relationship with God, I've got to admit some unflattering things. Number one, I've screwed up a whole lot in the past. And number two, given who I am and kind of the way I'm wired, I'm probably not going to be able to live up to your demands ever. And that's unflattering to say about yourself, but it's absolutely the only pathway to experiencing intimacy with the Father. And again, maybe we've missed this in church world. You think about what does it mean to be a Christian? Well, Christians do certain things. They don't do other things. They don't cuss. They don't listen to rated R movies. They don't do drugs. They go, they pray, they read the Bible, they share the gospel. They do certain things and don't do other things. And do Christians do those things? Yes, but that's not what makes a Christian a Christian. What makes a Christian is that he has come to Jesus and given him the full weight of his sin and his total inability to live up to God's demands. He just realizes there's nothing I can do morally or not do that would please the Lord. Hebrews 11 says, without faith it's impossible to please God. And it takes, and what yoking up with Jesus requires is faith. Faith that if I admit the full weight of my sin, God's not going to crush me. And if I admit my total inability to please the Lord, that he's not going to reject me. It takes faith to do that. But that's what we contribute to the relationship. That's our part of the DTR. And what the scripture says, what this passage says, is that if we'll do that, if we'll exercise faith in that way, then Jesus will reward that faith with his contribution to the relationship. When you relate to God on his terms, and his terms are through Christ by faith, when you do that, the terms of your relationship with God are always and only terms of grace. And it takes faith to believe that. And again, faith isn't something you do once. You don't just yoke up with Christ by faith once. It's not just a prayer that you pray when you're 6 years old, and then you kind of, after that point, you start justifying your relationship with God by your obedience. That's not what happens. Faith is more appropriately a posture of the heart. Faith is something you do continually. Faith is something that you walk in every day. You realize, I've got to give Jesus the full weight of my sin. I've got to completely and continually remind myself of my utter inability to please God by what I do, that my relationship with my Father has always been a relationship of grace. It's always been about what he brings to the table, not about what I bring to the table.